Charles III. This is a man who's waited a long time to be king. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, was arguably the most famous woman in the world. She was on the throne for 70 years and lived here at Buckingham Palace. And this is where Prince Charles was born on the 14th of November 1948. As the eldest child of Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh, he knew that one day he would be taking over from his mother and become But what sort of king would Charles be? We've already seen what he cares deeply about: protecting the environment, the countryside, and helping people who have grown up with difficult backgrounds. The king spent a lot of time here at Windsor Castle, and even though he was born into a privileged and wealthy family, he hasn't always had it as easy as you might expect.
Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip spend a happy afternoon with the world's most famous baby.
His childhood was very different to most people in the UK. Instantly famous, everyone knew who he was and that he would become their next king. Charles has said that he sometimes had a miserable time at school. Like lots of children of wealthier families at the time, he was sent to boarding schools, where students study and live away from home. First to Cheam School in Berkshire in England, then when he was 13 years old, he went to Gordonston School in Moray, Scotland. These were the same schools his father had gone to when he was a young boy. Charles reportedly had a very hard time settling in at Gordonston. The rules were strict and he was bullied. But he later said the school had taught him a great deal about himself, and he went on to become head boy. He then went to Cambridge University to study history. When he was 20 years old, he was formally made the Prince of Wales in a special ceremony at Carnarvon Castle. Prince of Wales is the title given to the next in line to the throne.
I, Charles, Prince of Wales, do become your liege man of life and limb.
For many years, newspapers and TV reporters would try and guess who Charles was going to marry. And that's because it would be a big deal to become the wife of the future king. And then in 1981, he married Lady Diana Spencer, who became Princess Diana. The wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral was watched by millions across the world.
Oh, that's what everybody's been waiting for.
And two children followed: Prince William, born in 1982, and Prince Harry in 1984. Charles wanted his two boys to have as normal a childhood as possible, something he felt he didn't really have himself. As well as supporting the Queen during his time as the Prince of Wales, Charles used his royal position to raise awareness about his passions and interests, like protecting the environment and also tackling the effects of climate change. He also chose to promote and protect Britain's rural and farming communities living in the countryside. 7-year-old Grace lives on a farm in Cornwall with her family and lots of animals. She wanted me to meet her mum, Isobelle, who's a sheep farmer, to find out why the King's support for farming families is so important to her. What's it like, Grace, living on a farm? Is it really special?
Yeah, because we just love petting animals and feeding them mostly. So we've got a few sheep with lambs. We also have dogs that sometimes round up a sheep for us. And we also have horses as well. They're a bit lively sometimes.
And Mum, just describe to us how hard work it is.
It is hard work. The days can start early and they can finish late. You just keep going all day until you can't do no more, really.
Mummy, why is it so important that the King likes farming?
because farming provides the food for everyone to eat. Farming is taking care of the land that everyone gets to enjoy. And as our king, he is the head of our state, which means that he holds a responsibility to all of that.
What kind of king do you think Charles will be?
His passion for farming and the environment and climate change has been immense. I think he'll continue to help us look after the environment and improve it for future generations.
Grace, what's the worst thing about living on a farm?
If you have a horse stable, sometimes picking up the poop.
Picking up the poo. Although it looked to many that Charles had an easy life, he actually had a very difficult time during the 1990s. First, it became clear that his marriage to Princess Diana had broken down. The couple got divorced in 1996. And then the following year, tragedy.
The news then is that Buckingham Palace has confirmed the death of Diana, Princess of Wales.
Princess Diana died in a car crash in 1997 when she was just 36 years old. Her funeral was held here at Westminster Abbey. Charles had to comfort his two young sons who had just lost their mother at such a young age. Despite the difficult moments in the King's life, there have also been positive ones too. Charles found happiness again in his second marriage in 2005 to Camilla. He was proud to see his two sons grow up and have families of their own. Prince William married Catherine in 2011 and Harry married Meghan in 2018. And Charles now has 5 grandchildren in total. However, more recently, things haven't gone so smoothly. Charles now has a difficult relationship with his youngest son, Prince Harry, who is no longer an active member of the royal family and has moved to live in the United States. Harry has confirmed that he will be attending the coronation of his father, but his wife Meghan won't be going. Harry and Meghan gave some interviews in which they discussed how unhappy they had been living in the spotlight as part of the royal family. Harry also talked about the difficult relationships he had with his dad Charles and brother William.
Do you speak to your dad?
We haven't spoken for quite a while. No, not recently.
Can you see a day when you would return as a full-time member of the royal family?
No.
However, more heartbreaking news was about to hit Charles, his family, and the rest of the world.
The Queen has died at the age of 96.
In September 2022, Charles's beloved mother, Queen Elizabeth II, passed away. Her reign was longer than any other British monarch. Charles led the tributes.
To my darling Mama, I want simply to say this. Thank you. Thank you for your love and devotion to our family and to the family of nations you have served so diligently all these years. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.
Following his mother's death, Charles does face some challenges. Queen Elizabeth was an overwhelmingly popular figure and had a warm relationship with the public towards the end of her reign. But not everyone in the UK agrees with having a king or queen as the head of state. And some would argue that Charles is not as popular as his mother was. And the arguments he's had with Harry have certainly damaged the monarchy. Still, many people hope that they will be able to fix their relationship one day. His wife Camilla has also had to work hard to win over the public. There were times when she was very unpopular. Now, as Queen Camilla, she will be hoping to be able to keep people on side. Some things have already changed to mark this new era. King Charles's image can already be seen on our stamps, on our money, and the UK's national anthem has also been updated. Even though in his new role as the head of state, Charles is expected to be less outspoken on big issues, he will continue to support the causes he cares about. And as the UK has grown over the years, he's also tried to promote tolerance and a greater understanding between different faiths and communities who are all living in a modern Britain. I've come to East London to meet Issa and his dad Abdal, who moved to the UK from Bangladesh when he was 8 years old. Issa wanted me to hear why the King's recent visit to the area was a big thing for the local British Bangladeshi community. How you doing?
Good.
Good to meet you. How you doing, Abdal? Lovely to be here. So we're in Brick Lane Mosque. Issa, it was just a short walk from here where you met the King. What was that like?
It was very exciting. There was like a buzz in the air because lots of schools and people from the community were there. So it was actually quite amazing.
Why was it so important for you to experience the King coming here to Brick Lane?
For him to come to Brick Lane, to meet the wonderful communities of Brick Lane, to celebrate the Bangladeshi community's contribution to the East End, it really solidified our, the community belonging. When 50, 60 years ago, when my father's generation came, his granddad, they weren't necessarily so welcomed.
What was it like when you came to England and did you experience any racism?
I arrived in 1984, I was your age, although I didn't beginning notice the racism, but your granddad told me about the stories of the issues in Brick Lane, when there were a lot of racism. On a Sunday, people would come round to Brick Lane, they would smash windows and attack people for no reason. Your granddad suffered a lot, and I later experienced it and understood, but in the beginning when I was your age, obviously I wasn't aware of it.
Issa, do you think him being king will help promote multiculturalism, so people celebrating people from different backgrounds?
Yes. It will join us all together, people from lots of different countries and religions, and it will just spark friendships.
King Charles is a force of good in a sense that he's very warm, he's very pleasant. People will become more interested in each other, and when they see each other next time in the streets or whether they'll talk. He's like a magnet that's going to pull people together.
Although Charles is already king, on Saturday the 6th of May, he will be officially crowned in a ceremony right here at Westminster Abbey in London. For the past 900 years, the royal coronation has been held in this incredible building. William the Conqueror was the first monarch to be crowned there. And in 1953, Queen Elizabeth's coronation, with a 4-year-old Charles watching on, was the first one to ever be shown on TV. Charles will be the 40th monarch to have the ceremony at the Abbey. He'll take the coronation oath in front of 2,000 guests before finally he has a solid gold crown placed on his head. And in this new era, the nation and the rest of the world will be watching to see the kind of king Charles III will be.